Alright, so the other movie I saw today was Kingsman. So I saw something the weekend it came out. God damn it. So yeah, I saw Kingsman. It was a fun movie. The thing that like I was thinking about it on the ride home, I was like, pretty much all the action stuff you saw in the trailer. So what you saw in the movie was just like slightly extended, what you saw in the trailer. So that kind of made me a little meh, about it. Because then I realized I'm like, oh, like we haven't gotten to, oh, where's the part? Oh, that's the part with the snow. Oh, that's the part where they're fighting in the ruins. Okay, that makes sense now. Like, oh, this, okay, we see the what do you call that? The result, Jesus, of what happens in that fight. Um, and especially because the amount of movies I go see, and then the amount of times they showed the trailer, and then the red band trailer, and the regular one, the red band, so many times, like after a while you're like, oh, I kind of know all these scenes. That was like the kind of downside of that. I was like, oh, okay. Like they kind of what they did with the Mulligan, Colin Firth, which was like they're like the Americans, because every time with the American accent, people always do that. I am an American. I'm like, who speaks like that? Like, Jesus Christ. Anyway, they have like this kind of like silicone jelly stuff. You wrap it over your head because if you get a headshot, then you inject these things that balloons up, and it's supposed to like heal you and all that stuff, keep your brain alive, but you might get a little bit of like amnesia and all that shit. So that's what happened with Colin Firth. It like took them a bit to like get them to like remember and all that stuff. And so this storyline was just so odd because like I know it's based off a book, and I've never read it because I didn't know till I saw the first one. I was like, oh, this is based off a book. Because the first movie is pretty much recruiting, what's his name, Eggsy, and then him taking over, like, the movie ends with him, like, taking over for Colin Firth. And then this one starts with, like, him, like, kind of just like, leaving the tailor spot for the day, blah, 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 taking on, like, Colin Firth's, alias or whatever, and then, boom, action scene. And I forgot how crazy the camera stuff goes. And I think it's the shitty thing when it comes to sequels sometimes is when they, like, it's the what worked in the first movie and we'll do it 10 times as much in the second movie. So, like, in the first movie, there was, like, that crazy, like, fight scene in the church where, like, the camera's, like, following the people fighting and, like, oh, like, you'll flip over and all that stuff. But this one, like, they did that with everything. Like, they went like really far with it, like they had the cameras on those dollies that you can like I could hold this stick and fling the camera and the camera's like doing all that. Like they went a little OD on it at times. I didn't see it in IMAX, and I'm kind of glad I didn't because I can't imagine like seeing it that big and for it to be like camera flipping and doing all that stuff. I'd be like all that stuff. So but yeah, other than that, like, I enjoyed the movie because it's a fun action film, you get to see people, like, shooting guns and, like, breaking people's limbs and shit, and car chases, like, action movie stuff. So it's enjoyable like that, like, Channing Tatum was there, like, he Channing Tatum's, like, what's his name from Anaconda, Eric Stoltz? Because he was there, and then he was asleep, and then he's awake. Like, he's there, like, 20 to 30 minutes in, and then he's gone, and then he comes back after everything gets fixed, And I kind of thought they would have more Channing Tatum, because when they were saying, like, oh, these are the Americans, and I thought it would be like, they'll do a mission with the guy from Game of Thrones, and then they'll, like, Channing Tatum will do his thing, and instead it's like Channing Tatum has to be put in, like, has to be freaking Norma Freeze for the rest of the movie, before they find the cure kind of stuff. So I was like, oh, I thought, like, alright, dude, like, because, like, in the trailer, like, they kind of, like, make it seem like Channing Tatum is, like, one of the main guys in the movie, and he's just, like, like Halle Berry had more screen time than him, and Halle Berry is like obviously the American Mark Strong character. Um, but yeah, like so the plot of this is that Julianne Moore, that's her name. I'm like, I almost said Juliana Margulies. Like, wow. Anyway, Julianne Moore is like this big name, well, not big name, but like this big drug cartel person, I guess, you know? But obviously no one knows her name because obviously what she's doing is illegal and all that stuff. And so she sells like weed, ecstasy, heroin, cocaine, you know, like the some like oh like weed and then some shit, you know, and then she implements like some other stuff in there, like some tainted shit. So everyone keeps getting like these kind of like blue veiny kind of shit, you know, happening, kind of like what Tony Stark had in Iron Man 3, like when he started to get that the poisoning stuff. So they all started getting that because of whatever recreational drugs or heavier drugs they were using was causing that. And it's like they show like the phases they have where it's like, yeah, you kind of get it at first, then like you can't stop dancing for some reason, then you're like paralyzed, and then you just like bleed out, and it's like, okay, that's a little extreme, you know. So pretty much the movie is like, as you see in the trailer, the Kingsman thingy gets blown up. It gets blown up by her because she's like, I don't like any of you guys. Like, if I could take these people down, then no one can stop me. Ha ha. And then like her, I don't want to say palace, but where she lives, you know, it's on like the island of Lost, you know, and she like, because she has the money, she like makes all these, it's like that part in like Six Flags where it's like 50s looking, and then, but it's just like, no one goes there except for like your parents or something to like relive their childhood or something. Yeah, so it's like all this 50s inspired stuff, like it's a marquee, a diner, a malt shop, you know, that kind of stuff. There's like a market. It was all called like Poppy and whatever not. And I find it funny it's called Poppy because, you know, she also sells heroin. Yeah, so she lives like remotely, and she has her group, which is called the Golden Circle, and everyone has like branded on like their chest or a tramp stamp like that one lady, because, you know, tasteful. Yeah, so it gets blown up, and then they have to go into their doomsday scenario thing. So they go into like this wine shop, press the button stuff. Here's a thing, a bottle of whiskey, and it says like, you know, like Statesman on there. So they go to Kentucky, and then they meet Channing Tatum and Jeff Bridges. Yes, Jeff Bridges, and then that guy from Game of Thrones and Halle Berry, and they're like, we're the Americans. And then they kind of help them fight the machines, kind of stuff, because there's like mechanized like dogs and shit there. Yeah, I'm really tired. I'm like trying to talk about this movie. It's only like 9:30. That's how tired I am. But yeah, like I would say this movie is like, I would say like probably a matinee to a rental. Because like a matinee, because if you really want to see it in theaters, it is enjoyable in theaters, you know, like to watch on the big screen, all that stuff. But if not, a rental, you know, at least check it out. You know, I still very much like the first one. This one, not so. This one I liked, but again, it goes into that thing of like, here's a sequel. What worked in the first one? Ah, you know. Yeah. I don't, God, I'm so tired. Like, what else do I say about this movie? Like I said, I enjoyed it. Oh yeah, so, oh God, so talk about social commentary, Jesus. So, of course it's like the whole like, you know, England versus America kind of thing. So a lot of things are like, Americans, we do this, and then, English people, you're like that, that kind of stuff. Like, all the statesmen have, on their belt buckles, like, little flask of whiskey there, and obviously the Kingsman guys are all, like, sharp-dressed dudes. The Americans are in jeans and a cowboy hat, because we're going, like, with that. Fine, and then they show, like, the President of the United States, who's an asshole, and he was just like, no, like, they'll be like, oh, yeah, we'll say that we're working with her, like, because at one point, Julianne Moore was like, hey, if you guys want the antidote, like, that's where she explains, like, the different steps or phases that someone goes through that has used, like, her tainted drug stuff, and so she goes like, yeah, so if you don't want to die, we'll give you the antidote, like, I'll give you the antidote as long as this and that. So the president was like, yeah, we'll let the American people think we're helping them and all that stuff, but we're not. We'll just wait for them to all die. And then one of the people are like a yes man, the other one is just like being more like of a person. So the yes man dude is like, no, yeah, anything's good, it's good. Yeah, like, oh yeah, whatever your idea is, that's the best. And the other person, this lady's like, I don't think that's wise because you're just lying to the American public. And he's like, oh, people do drugs, they're terrible, so fuck them. Like, that kind of shit. And I love how, like, the news is shown on Fox News, of all things, and it's the president who's watching Fox News. At the end of the movie, because the president, because the lady who had a head on her shoulders, like, she ended up getting the blue vein shit, the blue rash, as they call it in the movie, because she probably, just smoked some pot here and there, because people do. And so, like, all the people who are wanting the antidote, as they lied to the American public, all went into, like, these stadiums thinking, like, oh, it's just big, and stadiums, there's probably a shit ton of doctors that could slowly deliver antidote. Nope, they were literally caging people up and stacking them on top of one another until they probably perished. Some of them probably did. And the lady, when she got out of it alive, she, like, did a press conference saying, like, well, the president lied to all you, yada yada, and it's like, president impeached, and it's like, well, would you look at that, if only it was so easy, also, what was it, yeah, there was that. And then also, yeah, I thought it was weird that, like, so while that lady, the one who was like, yeah, I did some kind of recreational drug stuff and shit, I got the blue rash and I got locked up in the stadium, when they were, slowly releasing everyone, people were just, like, walking out, like you're told, like, oh, the mall's closing, alright guys, if you could slowly make your way out, and everyone's like, okay, I'll make my way out of the mall, like, kind of like, whatever, like, instead, like, that's not, no, if let's say I did some drugs, and I started getting that thingy, and I thought I was gonna die from doing it because of the blue rash, and I thought going to the stadium was gonna, like, help me, or whatever, then I get locked up in a cage, then the antidote gets, like, released and all that stuff, and I'm fine. I wouldn't just be, like, walking out like it's totally fine, like, again, I'm, like, a day at the mall. I was surprised no one was screaming, like, you'll hear from my lawyer, I'm gonna sue you, like, who do I have to speak to, get your goddamn hands off of me, everyone just walked out just all calm, like, yep, we all just were doomed to our deaths, but that's fine, all that stuff. Yeah, there were a couple of moments like that, I was like, wow. Also, in the beginning, where, like, Eggsy had, like, that like, blonde helper girl, because he's dating a blonde princess, and then his helper friend is the blonde girl, but then she dies, so we're just, like, one less blonde, and then he goes to, like, sleep with, like, finger doodle the enemy, and she's the tramp stamp blonde, and I was like, wow, okay, that's how we're doing it with this movie. They're all blondes. I thought that was funny, too, where he just had to dwiddle the girl to, like, put a tracking device in. I was like, wow, okay. The little finger caught in a case that, they made a condom joke about, of course. Yeah. Like, again, it's a fun movie. Whew, I'm just tired. Whew. It's a fun movie, but because I saw it earlier today, and I enjoyed it more because I was more like, oh man, like, that movie was, like, 2 hours plus long, and it didn't feel like it. And I was like, oh my god, this movie. This one at one point I looked at my phone. I was like, okay, it's been 2 hours, so we should have probably another 15 to 30 minutes left. I was kind of like, was like, all right, are we almost done with this? Not that it like dragged on, but I was just tired myself, and I don't know. I think if I didn't see I've seen two movies in one day, but I don't know. Maybe just because I'm tired and overworked lately. But yeah, so like I said, Kingsman, as I'm trying to be coherent as possible, Kingsman, is, like I said, matinee to rental. It's not bad. It's a pretty decent sequel. I feel like they're gonna probably try to do a third one, because that's what it feels like. When like the movie ended, it feels like they're gonna probably try for a third one. But in all honesty, I'm like, alright, the sequel's good, I really don't need a third one, but who fucking knows. But anyway, yeah, I'm done talking, and probably hopefully I can sleep finally. I'm tired. So yeah, I actually forgot to talk about the trailer. So, trailer number one, it's written like on my phone here. So we have The Foreigner. We spoke about that, Jackie Chan, all that cool stuff. Why is my front camera so gross and blurry? Anyway, then the next one is The Commuter, which is a movie with Liam Neeson and that lady from Bates Motel. And she's like, if you take the money that's in the bathroom and figure out who's not the correct person who should be on the train, then you did a good job. Anyway, after that is Suburbicon, which is one of those like, we're suburban, we're, like nothing ever goes wrong, but then like murders start happening. Like, Matt Damon's in it. I'm like, there's someone super famous in it. Yeah, it's Matt Damon, directed by George Clooney, and it's also written along with the Coen brothers. So, and you could see that very like kind of Fargo looking, that kind of look to it. After that is American Made, the thing with Tom Cruise and drug stuff. And then it was Jumanji, and we've talked about Jumanji. Like, we're interested, we'll see it. My lipstick has gone down to nothing. Growth. Oh yeah, then there was Geostorm, which is like the day after tomorrow on steroids, because it's like, oh man, the government actually can control the weather. So conspiracy theorists are like, I got it. See, I was right. They can control the weather, and they stop natural disasters from happening, which is kind of like, wow, because of what's happened lately. It's like, oh, you can stop it. But, through satellites and flangly flus, that's how they stop it. And then someone hacked in, because really, who's surprised? And they're creating these storms. They're creating these natural disasters. So, geostorms are happening. So, yeah, like, I guess because we haven't had, like, a disaster movie in a while, so might as well have that. After that, we have The Greatest Showman, which is Hugh Jackman in, like, another Les Mis. It's not Les Mis. It looks like a musical because they're singing and dancing. Zac Efron's in it. What's her name? Zendaya. I just forget how to pronounce her name, but her, I like her. She's in it too. Yeah, it's about like Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey and stuff like that. About starting a circus, and he was like, "Oh, go into show business." They're like, "What's that?" He's like, "I just made it up," and it's like. Seems like one of those movies that I might end up enjoying because of the music and stuff, but I don't know. So far, I'm just like, I don't care. Because it's like... Because that, they closed down the circus, so now it's like, meh, who cares? You treated, elephants badly. Anyway, after that is Red Sparrow, which kind of looks like Russian Atomic Blonde with Jennifer Lawrence, without the kickin' 80s soundtrack, the neon lights, and the action sequences. It's like her, obviously, with different wigs and disguises and all that fun stuff. But she's not fighting anyone. She's just kind of being, like, seductive and, like, killing men and stuff like that. It was just Jennifer Lawrence trying to be different or something. Try not to be that girl all the time. Oh yeah, so then the last trailer was Super Troopers 2. I don't know, I was never that big a fan of the first one anyway, and of course, Jesus Christ, it comes out on 420, so it's like, alright. But anyway, I'm done talking. This review's been over since forever.